You're asking very deep questions, but I like it. And this is what we do. Okay, so it all comes down to tracking.
Hi, welcome everybody to yet another episode of GMT8. Today we have Terence Tam from Radical Marketing. He's a digital marketing consultant for some of the biggest names and speakers in the speaking industry. Great to have you on board with us, Terence.
Great to be here.
Yes, and you notice the accent, so understand why he's on Zoom.
Yeah. So here's a game we'll play, right? Type into the comments, right? Where do you think Terence is from?
I
Terence,
said enough to actually make them be able to guess.
I think they can with just the word yes. But buddy, tell us about yourself. You getting into the industry and all. Where did it all start?
Okay, it started back when I was a teenager, and I don't know why I picked up this book by L. Rees and Jack Trout. I think my dad left it sitting there, like one of those books that he bought and never read.
Right.
And I started reading it. It was about positioning and like about marketing warfare, right? And I read it and I was freaking fascinated. I'm going, wow, this is like really, really cool stuff, right? And then
Right.
from there, I just had that passion. I went to university. I studied marketing. I did a master's in marketing. I did an honors in marketing. And then I lectured in marketing for a few years. And this was back in Australia. So if you guessed Australia, that's probably right.
Ding ding, 2 points for them.
That's it. And yeah, from there, it kind of just, grew from there. And now I run a marketing agency for speakers. And yeah, it's been a long time doing marketing, but I still love it.
I like it. You went the route because, sometimes a lot of people fall into marketing. They study law, engineering, and then next thing you know, they're a marketeer. But
Yeah.
you did the whole thing. You even, some people say, some people teach because they can't do. You can do and teach. So that's a different level, dude.
Yeah. So in total, how long has this journey been so far?
Okay, if counting the teenage years, I'm 49 now. So yeah, it's 30 years.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you a compliment. You don't look 49, but let's go.
It's all the filters,
Yep. So being in this industry, right? Yeah, I'm sure you've worked with a whole host of different speakers, right? Is there a specific niche that you have found yourself going into when it comes to marketing speakers, consultants, trainers?
Okay, I think the niche that we kind of do really well in is probably more like related to money making, like entrepreneurship, investing, that kind of stuff. Maybe because I have a passion for it. That's why that really works for us. Another area where I'm really interested in working, and we are like talking to UK client right now about this, is about more the energy stuff, right? Which I'm absolutely fascinated about. So energy, like metaphysics type energy stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I haven't actually done it for any coach yet, but yeah, I'm fascinated to actually do marketing for that particular new client that's coming on board soon.
Now that is interesting. Metaphysics. That is like the Force if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
More or less.
More or less.
But how did that fall into your lap? I'm curious.
Well, I think if you Google like webinar marketing, we rank quite high. So a lot of
Right.
people like just go on and try, Google search webinar marketing. And we also have a ton of videos on YouTube. So I think it doesn't happen overnight, but it's all about brand building, right? Writing blog posts, producing videos over the long term. Then you start attracting the right people that way.
Correct. And this is over time. Just to inform everyone, this is not overnight. All right. Just remember, everything takes time, experience, and then you attract the right people and comes in. It's very important. A lot of people these days, we want to now. I want it to happen now. I want to go viral now. I want everything now. But good things take time.
Yeah. And I think for people who are who have never actually had their hands on in marketing or like paid marketing, SEO, SEM, right? What sort of expectations do you frame their mind in? It's like, when you engage us in a marketing service, what sort of time frame do you set for people to expect to get results?
Okay, so I think there are basically two tracks when you think about marketing for any business, right? There's two tracks. So the one I talked about is kind of like SEO, content creation, which is more long-term consistency of effort kind of thing, right?
Correct.
But for most people starting off, if they do that, they probably won't have money to pay the electricity bill in 30 days, right? So that's going to be a problem. So what you need to do apart from doing the long-term stuff is to also do the short-term stuff where you build funnels, where you drive traffic using paid ads to those funnels. And maybe, I don't know, depending on your business, you're offering a lead magnet of some sort, then you kind of like bring them along that customer journey and then, get them a consultation call or get them to buy something from you. So I think you need both the marathon and the sprints at the same time, right? You can't, if you just do the sprints, your business becomes very transactional, right? You're always like trying to spend more money and then you don't have that brand. So you're very transactional and it actually costs you long term to just spend money on ads without building that brand. So they need to work hand in hand.
It's like if you're dealing with stocks, you have to have, short term, mid term, and long term. You got to diversify your portfolio. You can't just throw everything in one basket to make sure the sustainability when it comes to income and longevity when it comes to, growing the business. So yeah,
Absolutely. Great metaphor.
Yeah. And one of the things people are probably thinking to themselves, so if they are like starting up their own business, they're brand new, they have never invested into ads before, right? Is there a certain threshold which you think that, hey, your business, if you're earning X amount of revenue or you're getting certain results, then you only invest? Or what is your position on that?
Yeah, I think, the sooner you can start paid ads, the better, because ultimately, the organic stuff, the downside of it is it's unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
So this month I might have like 10 inquiries coming from my website. Next month I might have 0, right? Because Google decided to introduce a new algorithm, right? And then, your business is screwed. So I think the sooner you can start paid ads, even if you spend very little a day, right, is to make sure that you have that funnel or that system that can bring in consistent revenue and profits. So that is my take on that. Even if you spend $5-10 a day to start off with, right?
So the right time is now.
Yeah, the right time is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when
Then you can
when
have a scalable business, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when talking about algorithms, right? I mean, being in this industry for so long, you've seen algorithms start, algorithms come, and algorithms go, right? How have you managed to pull through all of these different changes throughout time?
Well, apart from having to dye my hair on a regular basis because of the white hairs that pop up, I think it's just keeping abreast of everything, right? And just learning from other people what they're doing. So being parts of masterminds or other groups of entrepreneurs who are in the same field, so you can learn faster. Like for example, I think a year or so ago or 2 years ago, when Apple introduced the iOS thing, right, and totally screwed up Facebook's tracking. A lot of e-commerce stores went bust as a result, right? And we didn't get affected that much because we were able to quickly learn from other experts in the field and test it out ourselves. And we kind of like recovered pretty fast. We weren't that affected compared to, I know some of my other agency friends, they were doing like 100K a month kind of figures and then down to 30K in like 6 months kind of thing, which was really terrible.
It's like shifting sands when it comes to marketing algorithms and stuff. It's shifting sands, and we are just trying to adjust accordingly with the change. But it's good that the important part is you pivoted and moved according to the change. Here's a question. Did you put into practices or SOPs into place for such an occasion, or was it go with the flow?
So it's always, for us, it's always problematic if we rely on one source of traffic.
Right.
So that's why, with our clients, we use multi-channel marketing. So we use the Meta platform, we use the Google platform, we use TikTok, right? We use some SEO, so that you have multiple legs, right? So if one leg breaks or one wheel comes off, you still have
Correct.
3 wheels that you're driving the vehicle with. Rather unstable, but at least you're still moving forward.
It's like a plane. A plane still can fly with one engine, but not as well. But yeah,
Bit scary, I'm sure.
yeah, it's a bit scary, of course. The engine's on fire. Don't worry, we've got another one.
Yep. So when it comes to, okay, we've talked about the algorithm changes and then how we need to stay abreast of things. We need to adapt and learn from other people who are innovating and adapting, right? What are the principles that has stood the test of time?
Principles that have stood the test of time in terms of marketing, I think, and this is something I've dived deeper into recently, is number one, you need to have a brand, right? A brand
Right.
that helps you to stand out in the marketplace. Otherwise, like in my market, if you talk about stock market investing, there's like 5,000 people talking about stock market investing. What makes you different, right?
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what is your unique selling proposition. That's number one. So number two, I'll say, is about writing good copy, right? Having good messaging. Okay. And recently we took on a new client. I won't mention his name, but the previous marketer was doing, like, in terms of return on ad spend, 1-to-1 for him.
Oh.
And that's terrible. You're basically not making money and doing a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
The first event that we marketed for him, we got a 10 times ROAS, return on ad spend. So from breaking even to making 10 times on their ad spend. And the key difference was that we just changed the message.
Right.
And
That's it.
the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third thing I'll say is to really understand your customer avatar, which is your ideal target market, right?
Right.
And most people will just say, oh yeah, it's this group of people, right? It's coaches and speakers, for example, right? In my market.
Right.
But when you talk about coaches and speakers, there are coaches and speakers, and there are coaches and speakers, right? You have your coaches and speakers that have like 3 clients that are barely breaking even, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the coaches that are like, the Dean Graziosis, Tony Robbins of the world, where they're doing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yep.
So which type of coach are you actually targeting? Are you targeting the strugglers, the ones that are making 1 million to 2.5 million? Or are you targeting the very high end of people? And each of them, you got to speak to them differently.
Yeah.
They have different pain points. They got different challenges, different struggles. You cannot speak, hey, everybody that's coach and speaker, come and download my ebook because it's going to be awesome for you, right? Each one of them has very, very different pain points and challenges. And you got to know them and speak to them. So it applies to any business.
Right.
Yeah, the example that you given sounds like a generic ChatGPT output out there, right? For people who don't know how to use ChatGPT properly. So when it comes to so you mentioned the copy, the messaging is very important. What about the visual elements, right? Let's say, if you're driving traffic to a landing page, how important is that?
Super important as well, especially now with a lot of platforms like TikTok, for example, that are purely video based, TikTok, YouTube, right?
Yep.
So the video needs to be like super engaging, but once again, it needs to start from the right message. So what we normally do is, like, we test out different ads on Facebook, right, with different messaging.
Yeah.
And then we find the message that works. Then we make it into a video.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Use the same message and make that into video. Right.
Right.
Then that video usually will outperform all other videos. And of course, with videos, there's various nuances around it, like, how you have to kind of keep engaging the attention and all that. So in our agency, what we we have done is that we have looked at, instead of like using some kind of generic template, we look at all the cult movies, right?
Right.
And the directors and how they actually create their movies, right? And then use those principles and incorporate it in our video editing. So
Ah.
that makes for a very engaging experience as compared to your normal like talking head video kind of thing, right?
So it's interesting that you said that, because you are literally testing the market with basically products already to see which product works just on text base and just on copy, and then turning that into video because it's already proven. I like, wow. Okay, okay. Never thought of it that way though.
Yeah. And one of the biggest challenges that I would see either as a marketer or as an agency is your client saying, "Hey, you're bringing me the wrong traffic, right? You're filling up the room with the wrong people." Right? That's why they're not converting. So how do you discern whether it is a target audience issue, right, or it's the product or the person converting?
You're asking very deep questions, but I like it. And this is what we do. Okay, so it all comes down to tracking, is
Right.
to answer your question, right? So for example, I might have ad A and ad
Yeah.
B. Ad A is bringing leads to my webinar at $10 per lead. Ad B is bringing leads at $20 per lead. So logically speaking, let's run more money on ad A, right?
Yes. Yes.
What happens is, if you don't look at the whole funnel and actually track people as to who actually buys at the end, and if you do that, you might find it's a completely different story, where
Right.
people that you attract using message A, ad A, you might have 0 buyers or 1 buyer at the end, whereas at B, you might have 10 buyers at the end.
Right.
So this is the fallacy of the cheap leads kind of thing, where
Mm.
people think, oh, I'm getting cheap leads, must be awesome, right? But you might be attracting the wrong crowd.
Correct.
So that's why with all our ads, we track back to see which ad is actually bringing in, okay, the attendees and also the buyers, right? And then we double down on that message on that ad, rather than go with, oh, this is the cheapest leads, let's go for the cheapest leads kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Yeah, correct.
No offense to anyone who wants to join. I'm not calling anyone monkeys. Just calm down. It's just a metaphor. We're just using that. Hey, but I want to know on this. You brought up Ching. You brought up ChatGPT and stuff like that. What would you say to people who say, "I just use AI. I don't need a marketeer."
You can, of course, but then you end up sounding like everybody else, right? Because
Right.
everybody else is using it.
Right.
If you use ChatGPT, I would suggest like at least you learn good copywriting before you use ChatGPT, so that you know that whether the copy that's coming out is actually good copy.
Yep. Otherwise, you will getting all of the first lines being, "Hey entrepreneurs, I got some exciting news." We see it filling up. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm curious to see your point of view. All right, the pandemic changed a lot of things for the good and the bad. Of course, there's two sides to every coin. In your opinion, what was good about the pandemic and what was bad about the pandemic when it came to the whole marketing industry?
I think from a marketing point of view, and I can only speak for my agency, of
Yep,
course,
of course.
is that number one, we pivoted to webinars a lot more that compared to live events, right? So from that perspective, I started attracting clients from all over the world instead of just like locally kind of thing, right?
Right.
So that was a positive thing for me, because then that also broke down the barriers of a lot of people who said, oh, I need to find someone locally to do my marketing.
Yep.
And then they discovered, hey, actually, I can outsource to someone in Malaysia, Philippines, or as long as they got the right skills, they can actually do the same job, if not better, right? So I think from that point of view, it's kind of like destroyed a lot of the boundaries of geographical boundaries of doing business.
Yeah.
I mean, for a little while, we obviously suffered because we were doing a lot of live in-person event marketing, right?
Right.
But once people started pivoting and seeing the power of webinars, doing live online events, that's where we just exploded in growth as well.
Crazy. Your answer is both for the good and the bad.
Yep.
Depending on which angle you're looking at it from.
So I mean, it's great what you've shared about marketing so far, but we do need to go on to a break for a short word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll be diving deeper into marketing, but also in terms of investment and family as well. Okay.
Groove Asia, the world's #1 digital marketing software platform and fastest growing entrepreneurship community, is now free for life. Your complete digital products and services online sales system, all the tools you want to run your internet business, everything you need to sell products and services online. No credit card, zero fees, it's just free. Discover the new better way to start an online business, build websites, and sell digital products. Create a full website with unlimited products and funnels, with free hosting, subdomain, and custom domain capability, and with more integrations so you can automate your business. It's truly the last online sales system you will ever need. Save thousands a month with free lifetime access to the top most powerful apps in the industry, including the #1 leading page and funnel building platform in the world, with thousands of brand new members making a switch over every single day. Plus, get free access to our private community, free live training, and free affiliate marketing business opportunity. Discover how to get started for free, secure your free lifetime membership today, and access your free software, training, and bonuses right now. Free for a limited time, only at grooveasia.ca.
And we are back. So now let's get into a simple question. The simple question is, when you say marketing, a lot of people throw marketing under one blanket. There's so many different kinds of marketing. Could you just, for the layman, let them understand the difference when it comes to marketing?
Just marketing compared to what?
No, because when people say marketing, they think marketing is a blanket, but it's a spectrum. There's marketing for So explain, just for the layman, so they understand. I understand now.
I think like marketing, branding, sales. Isn't it all the
All
same?
the same. No, it's not.
Cool. So I think with marketing, it is what basically, if you put it like a golf game, right? It's what is your long game, right? That brings you to the green. And then the sales is the short game where you do the putting. So the better your long game is, that you can hit the ball closer to the hole, and the sales team comes in, is like a 1-foot putt. It's easy, right? So if your marketing's bad, you might land like 20 feet away from your pin, and then the sales guy has to do a lot of putting before they get the ball into the hole, right? So I think that's the best way to differentiate what's marketing and what's sales. So
I love that.
Yeah, that's the first time I'm hearing that.
No, but I
analogy.
love that.
Wow.
That makes so much sense for people who never understood it. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
And every now and then you have a hole in one as well.
yeah.
yeah, every now and then you get a hole in one. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to conversion strategies, right? You do have people who have marketing funnels where it's directly selling off of a landing page or video sales letter, right? But then within our industry, a lot of it is driving people to a free webinar, to a free training, right? From your experience, who is able to successfully run on VSL and then immediately converting just from a landing page versus the longer journey of driving people to an education or webinar?
Good question there. I think it varies a lot, but let's talk about the VSL funnel, right? What it's good for. And this is in my book as well. I talk about VSL funnels. I talk about webinar funnels. But what VSL funnels are really good for is driving sales for either relatively low ticket items like $49 to $97. Maximum $97 is kind of your limit, unless you are a well-known person, right? If you got a brand out there like Alex Hormozi, maybe different, right? But for the regular guy, less than $97 is where I would position things. And also VSLs are great for actually getting appointments, right? Scheduled appointments with qualified prospects. So if you're someone that sells a high ticket item, chances of you getting someone to buy from the VSL is close to zero. But if they get on a consultation call with you after watching the VSL, and at the consultation call, you deliver value and then pitch them the high ticket offer, that is probably going to increase your conversion rates by a lot, right? So that would be the VSL funnel. I think with the webinar funnels, it's kind of like it's a bit of both, right? You're kind of like branding yourself if you provide good value at your webinar, and you getting that connection with a lot of people. You're selling one to many, right? So if you have a very scalable offer, then webinar funnels are probably something that you should look into, because at one time you could sell to like a few thousand people at once, right? And if your offer is good, you could have like a few hundred sales just from that one event, rather than selling one-on-one, where you're kind of like, how many sales calls do you have to do to sell like, a few hundred products, right?
Correct.
So I think it just depends on your offer, and you need to make sure you have the right funnel for the right offer.
The cool thing about what you're saying too is it also saves time, because one-on-one, there's only 24 hours a day. So there's only so many people you can see at one time. But a lot of people don't understand in this industry, it takes up a lot of your time, and it takes a lot of your time away from family too. How do you manage that, buddy?
So me personally, I don't do speaking much at all. Like, I don't sell products at all. But what we do is we help enable people to bring in the crowd to be able to sell. So from that perspective, it can get pretty busy sometimes, especially when there's a deadline. You're not achieving your targets, the client's up in arms, kind of thing, right? So I think from that perspective, I think you just have to plan out. Well, number one, have a good team in place, right? And be willing to pay for that team so that you have good quality output.
Correct.
That's number one. And number two, you have to have the right systems in place so that they keep following the system that works. And number three, if on the rare occasion where we have to put an all-nighter, we that's business. You have to do it. Right?
Correct. And then you got to have people who understand you well. But back to what you just said, here's the crazy thing about, even though sometimes you have a good team, a lot of people don't know how to let go of the reins. How long did it take you to learn to let go and trust your team?
So even today, I can't let go 100%, but I'm letting go. I'll be honest, right? I'm letting go 90% at least. So it's that at 10%. But yeah, I think the big difference recently is that number one, you need the systems, right? Otherwise, if you just keep on hiring people without the systems, it's kind of like you're wasting a lot of their time and their money as well, and your money rather. And second thing, you need the right people, because even with the best systems, if you have crappy people that don't know how to follow the system well, you also run into trouble. So I think those two elements, you need both. Eventually I'm moving towards having a self-managed company, right?
Eventually.
Let go.
Right? Yeah.
Right, like that.
So on the path towards having a self-managed company, of course, with AI and technology now in the picture, how has it changed your workflow or processes?
In terms of graphic design, obviously we're using Midjourney, which has helped a lot, save a lot of time. In terms of the internal stuff, we actually have this AI software that, for example, we're working on it so that it detects any errors and anything in the ad copy that is not good. So we actually have to train the AI, and then basically it can look at our ad copy and say, oh, well, your flash score is not low enough, for example, right? Or you're not giving enough benefits, for example, in your ad copy. So we're actually training the AI to do that right now. So it's kind of like more, not so much to replace humans, but helping us to level up what we produce, kind of thing.
That is true.
Of course, one quick one, certain clients, right, don't want to appear on the videos themselves. So we're actually creating AI people and like getting the AI people to talk on their behalf.
Awesome. I mean, like, leveraging off technology is not a bad thing. It's just how you use it. AI, at least I believe, will never take over people's job, but it'll take over people who do not know how to use AI's jobs.
Yeah, and I'm getting the feeling that also as more people embrace AI and pump out with creatives and content with AI, I would think that actually humans will garner more of a premium,
Yeah.
right? When we actually show our real faces and our real voices. What are your thoughts
Yeah,
about
good
that?
question. I have been thinking about this a bit, and I think the bottom line is if you don't really improve your own skills and you stay
Yep.
at a low level, then
Yep.
the chances of AI replacing you are so much greater. But if you keep skilling up, leveling up, say, for example, as a copywriter, right? And you're basically become like, you're the guy that uses AI to help you write better copy and you know what good copy sounds like and you can direct the AI how to write. You're irreplaceable. And actually you become command a premium as well. And you get more done in a shorter time.
This leads me to what you said earlier. And I want to throw in a benefit for people who are fresh grads or people getting into the industry. You said something earlier. It's important to hire good people. Good people doesn't mean A's. What's your definition of good when it comes from a person who's hiring others? What's your definition of good?
I think, first of all, they have to be a good cultural match, right? So you can have good people, but they're not a good cultural match for your organization, and that will create a lot of friction, right? So first of all, if they can't buy into your cultural values, then there's no point hiring them in the first place. Even though they're super good at what they do, there's no point. Like one of our values is like extreme ownership, right? So if they're not willing to take on extreme ownership and they're always passing the buck kind of thing, then they're not going to be a good fit, right? And another one is continuous improvement for us, right? So if they're not willing to continuously improve themselves by investing time to study every week, then I don't think they're gonna grow with the company, and they'll last 1 or 2 years, but then after that they will drop out. So what's the point?
You heard that? That's an employer saying there. It's not just A's here, my friends. It's not just look at my set. Brrr. There's a lot of other things involved when you're coming to joining an organization.
Yep. And so right now in the world of social media where we are bombarded with so much information, and then as the saying goes, right, marketers ruin everything. That's a saying that, right? One of the things that I've been hearing in the market is that it takes a lot more touch points before someone actually purchases from you. What are your thoughts about that? Is that a true statement?
Yeah, I agree that it's a true statement, and that is because why people require more touch points is let's have a think about it. Why do they need more touch points? It's probably because they don't trust you, right? They don't know who you are and they don't trust you. That's why you need more touch points, right? So I think that's a key where it comes to, like, especially in the coaching speaking market, where you produce regular content to attract the right people, which one of the things that we talked about earlier was that attracting people through good content, right? And so I think, yeah, that I would say is the key, and just be natural, be likable. Like if people can sense a fake quite easily nowadays. So if you're making it up, like you're renting the Lamborghini and driving it around with a Hyatt model kind of thing, people can sense that stuff straight away, right? So don't try and fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, back then it was easier to fake it to make it because information is not at your fingertips. Now, there's paparazzi everywhere, meaning anyone can shoot you and see the real you easily and put it out there. Yeah, so agreed, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, other than marketing, right? You are also into investing as well. What are your favorite mediums or vehicles of investment?
Well, previously, when I was back in Australia, I was heavy into investing in property, right? And
Right.
then the GFC hit, so basically that wipes me out. Um, but now I'm more, as you know, I have a business, so I have to run that. It takes a lot of time. So what I
Yeah.
only do right now is I just invest in high quality stocks that I know will grow for the long term. So a lot of the FANG stocks, I buy it when it's like undervalued, and I just keep it like FANG stocks, that kind of stuff. When it's undervalued at a good price, just buy it and keep it. It's kind of like a savings account. It's better than keeping your money in the bank for 3% a year or whatever it is. At
Correct.
least you buy a bank share, you're getting 4, 5, 6% dividends, and then it plus the growth. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. Play it safe. Don't take too big a risk.
But let's talk about your biggest investment. The biggest investment, I asked this to parents, is your kids.
That
Which
costs a lot too.
which is scarier, running a company or raising a child?
That's a tough one. I think because I have a daughter who's 12 years old, she just turned 12 like last month. Um, yeah, it's you kind of like that rebellious streak starts coming out, and you're like, oh gosh, what if they grow a bit older and then they just like, get the wrong boyfriend or something, and then yeah, you're sweating bullets there. Uh, yeah, so that's but I think ultimately you can only, lead by example is what I
Right.
believe. Because at this age you try and tell them something, they're like, yeah, whatever kind of thing.
I totally understand what you're talking about. You know why? Because I've got a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. So yeah, good luck, buddy. There's lots more interesting phases to come about. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just preparing you for the best. But yeah, okay. Just on that subject as well. I find this hard, so I tend to ask this question: is we all learn from our mistakes. We are who we are because of our mistakes. And nowadays, a lot of people are afraid to make mistakes. They're like, oh, I cannot fail. And we're trying to impart to our kids, it's okay to make mistakes. But as parents, we don't want our kids to fail. So there's a balance of, oh God, I gotta let them fail, even though I see where they're headed to. Or it's letting go of the reins. But with your kids, how are you coping with that, buddy?
That's a tough one because on one hand you don't want them to get hurt. On the other hand, they need to fail to experience stuff, right?
Correct.
So I think that for me, I believe in creating a controlled environment for failure.
Right.
Right. So I would, for example, me and my daughter, sometimes we play Cash Flow, right? Robert Kiyosaki's game, Cash Flow, the board game.
Yeah.
So yeah, she sometimes like gets really upset and stuff like that because things don't go away, right? But I think that's a good learning experience. You kind of like play games to actually educate them, and sometimes have a chat after the game. Sometimes I play video games with her, so that basically, you kind of like evaluate where you failed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that controlled environment that I think is the best way to go about it. Even I'm trying to encourage her to start a business, right? But I think maybe she's too young at this stage, like 12 years old, and she's more interested in cosplay than and money.
would yeah would you ever encourage your daughter to go through an influencer route, for example? I mean, since she's into cosplay and all that.
Oh, right. No, I wouldn't.
Direct answer, I mean, like short answer. I like it. I like it. Wow. So I like what you're doing with your kids, and I'm assuming you as a leader, you do the same, which is open communication, learning on the way, and using the current ways of teaching. Because look, we can't learn the way our parents learned. We can't learn the way we learned because it was a whole different generation, whole different world. And they've got a new world, and you're embracing that world and using it as teaching tools. I like that. It's good lessons there.
Doing my best as all parents are, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
And yeah, and so what the day, on a day-to-day basis, with your daughter, or maybe within business and investment as well, right? What's your personal philosophy that drives you on a day-to-day basis?
My philosophy right now, I guess, as I age, 49, I just mentioned, right? Big part of my day is about health right now, right? So I make sure I exercise just about every single day. Either hit the gym, do some cardio or something, right? Because I think when your body is good, your mind is good, your mind is more sharp. So I exercise every morning, get my mind cleared and really focused. And that actually helps me make better decisions. I feel stronger throughout the day. I'm more self-confident. Yeah, so I think it's kind of like, it's one of those like habits that give you that self-confidence to take on the day every single day.
But here's the thing that I wish a lesson I learned much earlier. But because of what the culture goes on, where people say hustle, 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 hustle. But when you get older, you realize once in a while a break is good. You know what I mean? Yeah, taking a break is important, not just hustling all the way. What was that point for you? When did you learn
Okay,
that?
good question. Because this year I just enrolled in, I'm not sure whether you heard of Strategic Coach with Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, the
Right.
guy that wrote 10x is better than 2x.
Yes.
Yeah, the latest bestseller. So I enrolled in his program. And one of the first things one of the first things that they teach is that you need 3 types of days as a business owner. You need your buffer days, which is the day you do like preparation and a lot of meetings and all that stuff. And then you need your focus days, which are days you actually focus on stuff that brings in money into the business, right?
Right.
And the third type of day is rest days, which is like completely nothing to do with business. You don't even pick up a business book. You don't even listen to a podcast. And for me, it was a real struggle. I thought it would be easy, right? Then I'm at the gym and I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to listen to this podcast because it's business related. And then I'm lying on my bed in the toilet. I'm like picking a book. Oh, hang on, this is a business book. I'm not supposed to read this, right? So, but by actually enforcing those rest days, I find that when Monday comes, so weekends I don't touch anything. Monday comes, I'm really like raving to go again because I'm like fully rested. My mind's rested. Yeah, it's like let's go. So yeah, I think that hustle culture, to be honest, it's probably overrated. Sometimes you need to hustle at the start, but I think long term, it's not a good strategy.
Exactly. So if the earlier you learn to take a break, it's good because I truly believe no matter what, our mind is constantly thinking about something. If you don't learn how to switch that off, you're just gonna get tired and then eventually it becomes passé or like, oh God, not this again. It becomes mundane. So switching off something that you've been doing for 18 years, 20 years, it still gets exciting, especially when you switch on back, like, yes, let's do this. So it's just a message to you youngins out there. No offense, okay? I understand the hustle culture. Take 2 days on break, okay? Very good.
So what's a day of a marketer like for you? You're managing an agency essentially and a
Okay.
team.
So right now, if we're talking right now, it's very different from a few months ago. But right now, my days are spent predominantly working on projects that will enhance the business. So, for example, systems, frameworks. I'm working on special projects like my book, my podcast, for example, right? That will enhance the business over the long term. Rather than the day-to-day kind of stuff. I do have a meeting with my team once a day, and then if there's any issues there, we kind of resolve it. But apart from that, I'm working on the more long-term projects for the business. So yeah, and training some of my employees sometimes as well is also part of the day as well. So occasionally I do still step in to write the occasional ad copy, but that's becoming more and more rare nowadays.
So you mentioned that you're in the process of writing a book. Share with us what is the book
Okay,
about?
the book has actually been completed. I'm in the process of getting a few reviews. The book is called Lead Search, and it's about the 8 different funnels that are highly effective for coaches and speakers to get leads.
I like that.
So I think to a large extent, these are the same funnels that any business could probably use. So we'll have it on my website, which is radical-marketing.com. I tried to get the radical without -marketing.com from a Middle Eastern guy, but he wouldn't sell it to me. But yeah, you can probably find it on radical-marketing.com. We'll have it there, and you can just download the digital version for free. It's actually 200 plus pages, but it's quite an easy read. And, I think for anyone who's interested in marketing or building funnels for the business, I think it's vital reading.
All right, man. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put it in the comments below, and get people to do it, man. But
yeah, so as we come towards the end of our session, right? What message do you have to share to future aspiring marketers, especially in the environment they're in and the environment that's to come?
Okay, so I think for future marketers, what I would suggest is, number one, is to spend a lot of time studying, but not just studying, but actually applying what you learn into practice. So if you're working, say, at a company, make sure you work for a boss who's willing to test out new stuff, right? So that you can say, hey, boss, I just read this new thing. Can I test it out? Kind of thing, right? And then from there, you can kind of like learn your marketing pretty fast. Alternatively, you could also, like what a few gurus out there suggest, is that you work for free for a few people who are willing to take a chance on you, right? And then, you test it out and see how those marketing strategies work. So when I first started my agency, right? So this was back in 2013, and although I was in marketing for all this time, but what I realized when I started my agency, I needed more skills. And I spent probably like 5 to 10 hours a week studying, just learning new stuff, right? And just applying it. And I think the other thing is to keep abreast of what AIs out there can actually help you, improve your work as well. Not to replace you, but, you need to understand the principles, as we mentioned before you use the AI, right? So keeping abreast of those things will also position you in a very nice way, whether you want to work for someone or whether you want to start your own consultancy. So that's what I would suggest. So, there's a lot of material out there. You can start with the free stuff, and then later on you can graduate to paid stuff, which is, of course, much better. But it just depends where you're starting, right?
So remember, learn. The learning never stops. Even you ask our friend here, trust me, he's still learning until today. There's nothing stops there. So if you're open to continuous learning and growing, I'm sure everybody be okay. And remember, in the comments, we're going to put down all the links so that you can get in touch with our friend. But here's the important thing. What I want you to put in the comment is, what is the latest thing you learned? It could be anything. All right. It's just to encourage you to learn something new every day. So you watch this video, put in the comments, what's the latest thing you learned? Who knows? Someone else will be like, ooh, that's interesting. And they pick that up too. You know what I mean?
Yep. So with that, you can find Terence on Radical Marketing. So it's radical-marketing.com. And then, check out his new up-and-coming book, Lead Search, right? Great having you with us, Terence. And we look forward to speaking with you in future sessions.
Fantastic. I can't believe it's an hour. Just time flies by when you're having fun, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you very much, Terence. And to everyone else, see you soon. See you in the next episode.
Share the inspiration. All right. Goodbye for now.